Hi everybody and welcome to my channel. Thank you so much for clicking on this video. I hope you're all out in the sunshine, getting a nice tan and having a really beautiful day. If you are a fan of unsolved crimes and mysteries, you've come to the right place because that's all I do here. We go over the stories, the theories and the suspects, and in the end I'm going to share my opinion and my theories, and I really want to hear what you think in the comment section down below. Because we really want to help families find their loved ones or find closure. My name is Leah. Let's do this. So the case we're going to be talking about today is a documentary series on Netflix called Unsolved Mysteries. And yep, we are talking about season 1, episode 2, called 13 Minutes, the disappearance of Patrice Endres and her wonderful husband, Rob Endres. When this first came out, I think the internet was boiling and none of us could believe he wasn't arrested. I watched this episode like 5-6 times just to be sure, did I hear correct? What did he say? I wanted to make sure I got it right. I wanted to make sure I didn't misunderstand anything. I wanted to make sure I didn't miss anything because I couldn't believe what I was hearing. It is mind-blowing and beyond creepy, and Rob, he just looks guilty with guilty on top. And I think we were all thinking, what are you waiting for? Arrest him. It's obviously he did it. The way he's smirking and talking about walking around with her skull and the things he did with her ashes and just his entire behavior and personality just gives me the chills. But I've been doing a lot of searching and digging on Rob, Patrice, Pistol, Jeremy and other people involved in this case. And I have to say, the first 2-3 times I watched the episode, I was like you, what are you waiting for? Arrest him. But now, I really hope you're not going to hate me for this. Please don't go. Just hear me out. But I really don't think Rob did this. The more I've been searching, the more convinced I am that Rob didn't do this. I can't be sure. I really can't be sure. But I've been, like I said, searching a lot. And I've come up with a completely new theory. And this guy that involves in this theory, he's been completely passive through the whole case. I haven't seen this theory anywhere. And believe me, I've been reading hundreds of theories. And most of them, Rob did it. Of course Rob did it. He did it. Just Rob did it. But I'm not sure anymore. So we're going to go over the story. We're going to go over why we think Rob did it. We're going to go over the possibilities that Jeremy might have done this. And then I'm going to share my opinion and I'm going to tell you about my new theory. Please don't go anywhere. Just hear me out. Patrice was a 38-year-old woman living in South Georgia, where she lived with her 58-year-old husband, Rob Endres, and her 16-year-old son, Pistol Black. Patrice worked in her very own hair salon and she loved every minute of it. She had a full circle of regular customers who just loved and adored her. Because Patrice, she was a very outgoing, smiling, happy person who loved all the chit-chatting with her customers. Her daily routine in the morning would be like she would wake up, take a quick run on the treadmill, and that sound of the treadmill, boom, 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 would actually wake up her son Pistol. They would get ready together, she would drive him to school, she would go to work, and just get ready for the first customer to arrive. Rob and Patrice, they met each other at the same hair salon that Patrice worked in. He came in as a customer, and as soon as he sat down and their eyes connected, there was an immediate connection and sparks were just flying everywhere. Soon after that, they started dating and everything was going really, really well, and Rob was trying to be a really good stepdad to Pistol by taking him to football practice and just spend a lot of time with him so they could get to know each other. Rob and Patrice, they were convinced that they were meant to be and this was going to be forever. So it wouldn't take them long before they decided to get married. Everything between them was going really, really well for a few years, but Pistol was getting older and hitting that teenage stage, and you know teenagers, they test their limits. They are a bit rebellious, It's normal for a teenager, but Rob, he definitely couldn't handle that. And because Rob couldn't handle it, he started pushing Pistol more and more away from him and actually started disliking him. He would tell Patrice to discipline him more and be more hard on him and show him some more consequences. But Patrice, she completely disagreed, and when it came to Pistol, she would never back down because the relationship she had with her son, they were super, super close, and she actually didn't have any problem with Pistol at all. Rob's behavior only increased because now not only was Pistol the problem, now he also had a problem with her friends and her family because Rob couldn't stand when anyone else had her full attention. When they started those fights and arguments, it just got worse and worse and worse, and Patrice got really stressed out, and she confided in some of her friends in the hair salon and told them she had had just about enough. She couldn't take it anymore. She wasn't happy anymore at all, and it was just too stressful for her, and she told her friends, her family, and Pistol that she was going to get a divorce from Rob and get her life back. One day when she drove Pistol to school, she would ask him a really strange question, and that would be, if I'm not here anymore, where would you go? And Pistol was like, what do you mean? What are you talking about? That's a weird question. But he just answered her like, I don't know, I guess I would go live with my dad. Okay, she dropped him off at school, told him she loved him, and she went to work. Pistol thought it was a bit of a weird question, but he didn't think any more of it, and he just went into school. After a few weeks, she again drove him to school, told him she loved him, kissed him goodbye, and went to work at her hair salon. At 8:55, Pam Shepard arrived for her 9 o'clock appointment, and she told the police that Patrice wasn't herself. She was very distracted and wasn't really attentive to her. Pam left at 11:05, and at 11:10, Paul Cantor arrived for his haircut. He left at 11:27. At 11:35, Patrice got a phone call from another customer. This customer wanted to change their appointment, and this customer also knew Patrice and said she was not herself. She was not that chatty person she normally was, and the phone call only lasted 2 minutes. At 11:50, Patrice got another phone call, but this time she didn't pick up. Something is definitely wrong here, and until this day, what happened to Patrice is still a big mystery. So now we're going to talk about theories and what we think happened to Patrice. I've been online and I've read hundreds of ideas and theories of what might have happened to Patrice. And I know most of you think that her husband, Rob, he's behind this, no doubt in your mind. And I was actually the same in the beginning. When I go over my opinions and what I think might have happened, I do want to remind you, I'm not a detective, I'm not a professional investigator, I am 100% unprofessional. You can go do your own research, everything I say is public information. I also want to remind you that some of my theories and some of my opinions, I know they can sound a bit harsh, but I assure you I have no intention of hurting anyone's feelings or upset anyone or offend anyone. I'm not a bad person. I just try to think outside that box, try to open new ways and make room for different theories, because nobody knows what happened, but we all have the same goal, and that's finding out what happened to Patrice. So let's just do this, get started, keep an open mind, and try to think that step further. Just hear me out, listen to this. So the first one we're going to be talking about is Jeremy Brian Jones. Jeremy Jones is a murderer and a self-confessed serial killer who confessed to have murdered Lisa Nichols in 2004. He was convicted and sentenced to death. He also confessed to have killed 20 additional people in 4 different states. He also told them that he had kidnapped Patrice and told all the details about what he did to her, which you can see on YouTube. He dumped her body in Sweetwater Creek, and the police believed him, and they went there to search with dogs, but they never found her body. Jones, he took his confession back and said the only reason he confessed was because he wanted more privileges in the jail. But even though Jeremy pulled back his confession, I still believe there's a really good chance he did this, because the police said he knew things about the crime scene that he would only know if he'd actually been there. And he told the police where they could find the victims, and most of the times when they went out there were no bodies. So I'm thinking that Jeremy was sky high on meth all the time and didn't even know what was up and down. So I think he remembered the kill, the thrill, and the method, but when it came down to where he had dumped the bodies of the victims, he didn't remember. And I think it's because when he did the crime, he felt that rush feeling and he would remember that one. But once his crimes were over, I think his victims became... Oh, I'm sorry, I know this is gonna sound a little bit bad. Please don't misunderstand me. But I think his victims became annoying for him when he was finished with them. Like they were in the way. And I don't even think he noticed the locations. He just wanted to get rid of them, easy and somewhere convenient. Just getting rid of them and moving on with his life. That's a possibility. And the other theory is that when Jeremy confessed to the police, they said they could see in his eyes that he was feeling that rush again, like he was enjoying telling them what he did to each and every victim. So disgusting. He's an animal. He was reliving the moment every time he confessed to a crime. And maybe he gave them the wrong location on purpose because he wanted to be able to keep telling his story and getting that rush feeling, but he didn't really want them to find the bodies, because if they found the bodies, it would be so easy to connect the bodies direct to Jeremy and he would go straight to death row, and he didn't want to go there. So there's only his story, no bodies, no proof. Do you know what I mean? It's possible. What do you think? I think I'm gonna tell you my theory now about the person that's been a bit passive all the way through the case. You all remember the day she went missing. Pam Shepard came for her 9 o'clock appointment. She knew Patrice and said she wasn't herself. She was distracted and wasn't very attentive to her. The third customer who called her to change their appointment also knew Patrice and said she wasn't herself. She wasn't as chatty as she normally is. She was very short on the phone. But the guy in the middle, Paul Cantor, he didn't know Patrice. And the reason I'm saying that is because there's no statement from him about how Patrice was acting. If she was stressed, not paying attention, nothing. He didn't say anything. So that makes me believe he didn't know her. And the second thing is, he arrived at the shop 10 minutes past 11. And if he didn't know her at all, he would wait for her to say, please take a seat in this chair. He would go sit down. She would ask him, what kind of haircut do you want? And he would explain to her what he wants. She would go get the styling cape that you put on so you don't get hair all over your clothes. She would start giving him the haircut. When she's finished, it's normal that the hairdresser takes that mirror and show you from behind what your hair looks like and ask if the customer is satisfied. And from there, she would probably brush the cape to get all the hair off and take it off him. Together, they would walk to the counter where he would pay his bill and leave the shop while he was getting a phone call. All of this happened in 17 minutes. 17 minutes. That's like nothing. He arrived at 11:10 and that was his arrival time. He was out the door at 11:27. Don't you think that's fast? And when he went out the door, he was on the phone with who? There's an 8-minute gap from when he left to the phone rang again. And that person who called to change the appointment said she was very short on the phone. Is it possible that Paul Cantor never left? Is it possible he went outside, finished his phone call to whoever it was, maybe a partner, to say, yeah, she's alone, just come. And he was faking that he couldn't start his car, and Patrice heard that, and that's why she was short on the phone, and put the phone down, took her car keys, went outside, and he told her he needed a jump start. So she went to her car, got in, put the keys in the ignition, driving the car around the corner to the front of the shop to realize that Paul Cantor wasn't to be seen. So she got out of her car with her keys in her hand. She went inside the shop and called him, going through her bag and maybe going through the cash register to steal all the money. And she caught him. And she put her keys on the counter and asked him what he was doing. And he attacked her, grabbed her, threatened her to come with him, because a witness saw her outside the shop, a tall person with shoulder-long dark hair, sounds a lot like Patrice, yeah? And was with a man or a woman, and they had hands on each other, not sure if they were picking someone up that fell down or they were pushing someone down. So maybe his partner came there and stayed with Patrice in the car, and Paul Cantor made sure he got everything he needed from the shop, and then they kidnapped her. Is that possible? We don't know, but it's a theory. I just find it weird that the first customer knew Patrice. There's a statement from her. Third person calling her knew Patrice, statement from her or him. But the one in the middle is cleared. That's what I read. It doesn't say anything else. He was cleared because he said he left at that time, 11:27, and he could prove it by the phone call he got. And the police checked his phone records, and it was true. He got a phone call at that time, so that clears him. Really? A phone call clears him. How hard is it to put down the phone and do something completely different? I don't know. What do you think? Okay, so let's talk about Rob Endres, Patrice's wonderful husband. We all know Rob was very jealous, controlling, and possessive of Patrice. And he wanted her all to himself, and he would do his very best to push away Pistol, her friends and family, so he could have her full attention. I think he would be happy to be with her all by themselves in that house 24/7. He wouldn't mind at all. But Patrice, she didn't want to accept this because she wasn't like him. She was a very outgoing person, a people person, and she actually enjoyed spending time with the people around her. But Rob, he was a very controlling man. He was the man of the house, and definitely didn't like losing his face over and over and over. It was probably humiliating for him. So when she allegedly, because we don't know for sure if she told him she wanted a divorce. We know she told friends, family, and Pistol, but we think we know. And I believe he knew she wanted a divorce, but he claims he didn't know. So we think she asked him for a divorce. And if that's true, that she did, he would never blame himself. It would be everybody else's fault, not himself. It wasn't his fault. He would blame everybody. Look what I told you. I told you this was going to happen. They had bad influence on you. You should stay with me. It's not my fault. It's their fault. And the reason I feel like this is because I actually knew a person that was exactly like Rob. And it's horrible to be around people like that. And that's why I can I can relate to his actions, his thinking, his motives, and why he did the things he did. And I'm gonna explain further. Just hear me out, because it's not pretty for sure. About Rob, I want to say that I could be completely wrong, but like I said earlier, he truly reminds me of a person I used to have in my life. And I don't think Rob was a very outgoing person. Not meaning anything bad, but I don't think he was very outgoing. I don't think he was a people person who loved spending time with a lot of people. I think he was a home person and he enjoyed his own company. And you also have to remember, at his point in life, he was 50 years old. When you're 50 years old, your life is already set. Do you know what I mean? You have your own habits, you have your own routines, you have everything the way you want it, and it's very hard to change that. So when you're in that time of your life where everything is just set, it's really hard to find a partner, especially if you want to live with them, to make their habits fit with yours. Because do you know that feeling if you've been single for a long time? You get your own habits, your own routines, and then when you find a new partner and you move in with them, they start rearranging your things and you would move them back because they should stay here. But your new partner is like, I think my thing fits better in this area, and you just get annoyed because this is my territory and my things have always been here. Don't change it. Do you know what I mean? It's really hard to change a 50-year-old person. And I think when he met Patrice, he was fascinated by her spark of life, the glow she had around her, and he could see that everybody loved her. She was always smiling and happy, and she was like, you could see the aura around her. Do you know what I mean? Like an angel. He just fell head over heels in love with her. And I think he really loved her, and he wanted to be with her so bad. But he also knew that Patrice came with a packet, and that was Pistol. So if he wanted to be with Patrice, he would have to win Pistol over as well. And he did for a while, but it did seem a little bit fake. Like, he would be super nice to Pistol to win him over to get to his mom. When in reality, it seemed like he didn't really want Pistol there. He just wanted his mom. And that's why when it became too much for him and too much of her attention went to Pistol, he was a teenager, he was acting out and needed his mom's attention. I think Rob got really annoyed because that's not what he pictured for him and Patrice. It was just him and her. That was enough for him. So I think maybe when he started being so hard on Pistol and started the arguments and fights with Patrice, wanting her to discipline him more, be more hard on him, like he was trying to paint a picture to Patrice how annoying her son was. Thank God Patrice didn't buy it and she would support Pistol in any way. I think maybe Rob was so hard on Pistol because he was hoping if he pushed him hard enough and long enough, maybe Pistol would get fed up, pack his things and go live with his dad. He would have loved that because then he got what he wanted, which was Patrice all to himself. And I don't even think he would have felt bad about it. Do you know what I mean? Like I said, I could be wrong. I'm just thinking like that because guys like that, they're good at manipulating and they're good at making themselves the victim and blaming everyone else. But I think Patrice knew. She wasn't buying it. Rob does claim that she never mentioned a divorce to him. which I don't believe. I'm very open-minded to see the picture on both sides, but the fact that she was so outgoing and like an honest person and told everybody that she wanted to divorce him, but she didn't tell Rob himself, I'm not buying that. I think she did, but you also have to remember when Rob is on camera, he's still that private person, and he already lost his face and his pride, and he lost everything, like his face, to friends, family, and Pistol. He's not gonna lose that again. And he's a very hard man. And they were not getting a divorce, they were very happy. And Patrice loved him more than anything, and she would never ever leave him, according to Rob. He was trying to paint that picture perfect to the world. And he also said, we never fought. We never had an argument. That would just be a waste of time. There's nothing to argue about. I'm not buying that. I think they were fighting. Maybe like cats and dogs. But like I said before, Rob is a private person, and he doesn't like to share his emotions with anyone. He don't want to share problems with anyone. He's a very private person, and the problems that's in his life, in his marriage, that stays inside the house is nobody's business. So he did say, we did have a few discussions, but they were so small, I don't even remember what they were about. Right, of course he remembers. He remembered every single details about Patrice, for sure. So I'm not buying that either. So the day that Patrice went missing, they might have had a fight or an argument in the morning where she told him she wanted the divorce. So when in the afternoon, when Rob got a call from the police telling him that Patrice was missing, maybe he wasn't buying it. He thought that Patrice set this up. She was playing games with him, and she has just gone to a friend's house, or maybe she even met another man. And I think he gave her 24 hours to come back. And when she didn't come back, he got really angry with her, or really annoyed. And he wanted to make sure that she didn't go to the house while he was at work to pick up all her things. So he changed all the locks in the house to make sure she couldn't access the house without him being there. And maybe that's also why he refused to let Pistol in the house, because maybe he thought she sent him to pick up some items. What do you think? Is it possible? Definitely. But did that happen? We don't know. I just think when you look into this case, I did it myself. You have to be really careful not to overthink things, because people portray him as like a killer, and my God, what he didn't do to Patrice, it's not small things. It's like, wow. And maybe he thought she found another man and ran away with him, and maybe that's why he said on Netflix, who knows, maybe she was someone's toy for a few days. So the day Rob got the call from the police telling him that they had found Patrice's remains, I think it was a huge slap in the face for Rob, and the biggest wake-up call ever. Because right there and then, he realized that all the thoughts he had about her and what happened the last 600 days was completely wrong. I don't think he believed 100% that she was actually missing. But he realized she hadn't run off with another man. She wasn't hiding. She didn't leave him. She was kidnapped, held captive, and murdered. And I think he was in shock. And the grief he felt was overwhelming. And when he went to that funeral home and asked them to lay out the bones for him so he could see her one last time, I think it was to, like, in his mind, see her for real in one full piece, if you can say that. I'm sorry if it came out wrong, but you know what I mean. And when he asked for some alone time with her and picked up her skull, I know to the outside world that's really, really creepy, but when you're grieving, people grieve in different ways. And I think when he walked around with her skull, he was asking her for her forgiveness, for not believing in her, for not searching for her, for not helping in any way with the case. I think he felt really guilty, and that was the guilt talking. And when he got her ashes, I think he made a promise to her to never let her down again. He would protect her and never let anybody hurt her again. And yeah, he slept with her ashes, and for us that is a bit creepy and disturbing. But I've actually read different places that other people say when they lost their husband, wife, brother or sister or parents, they did the exact same thing. And it's not to be creepy or anything like that. It's because it gives them comfort, because they're not ready to let them go, and it makes them feel better. And when Pistol and his dad, Don Black, took him to court to claim her ashes, I think Rob panicked, and he didn't want to let her go again. He just lost her for 600 days, and he finally got her home where he felt she belonged. Was he just supposed to just give her away again so he would lose her all over again? He couldn't do that. And a mixture of that, and I think for the first time in many years, he felt he was in control now. He lost his face to Pistol, family and friends so many times because Patrice would never back down. She would protect people around her and her freedom. So for the first time ever, this time Rob was in control and he was holding on to her. And I think it was like to protect her and keep her safe. Like he said, I have Patrice now and that's good. I will always protect Patrice. But I do believe there was a little teeny tiny piece of revenge and that controlling feeling that I've got the power now. So yeah, that's what I think. And then he mentioned that he had a degree in criminology. And I know we were all thinking, excuse me, you have what? You have a degree in criminology and you think that makes you look better. That only makes things even worse for you, because now we know that you know how to get away with murder, hide a crime scene, clean up after a crime scene, about DNA, clues, everything. It makes you look really, really bad. But I don't think that's what he meant. I think the whole world were pointing at him like he killed Patrice. And he was mentioning that to let people know that he had a degree in criminology. So by the police investigating him, questioning him, and all over him, it was normal. It's like routine for the police. They always look at the spouse first. They always look at the husband or the wife first. They have to start somewhere. And he's mentioning that's normal. I don't care what other people think. I didn't do this. Patrice know I didn't do this. I don't care what people think. I don't talk to these people. Exactly, he didn't talk to those people. He had no relationship with Pistol. He had no relationship or contact with her friends or family. He shot himself in the foot. Because if he had had a relationship with them, he wouldn't have been alone for those 600 days in his own mind with his own thoughts. They could have helped each other and supported each other, but he didn't do that. He just wanted Patrice. So that's kind of his own fault. But we also have to remember that everybody is innocent until proven guilty. And I'm just trying to think outside that box, because we are all thinking in the same direction. Rob did this, and that's it. He just did it, just arrest him. But did you ever consider that he might just be an old grieving man? I could be completely wrong, but what if he actually didn't do this? And the whole world just gave him that stamp in his forehead that he's a killer and he murdered his wife. Can you imagine if he's innocent and he actually didn't do this. That would be horrible. And I think the reason he's smiling and smirking on the episode on Netflix, I think it's because he's, like I said earlier in the video, he's a very private person. What's going on with him, his life, his problems, whatever, stays inside the house. It's nobody's business. So I think this whole facade he's got going on with the smirking and smiling and being a little bit cheeky, it's a hardcore facade, not to show how he really feels. Because I know he's remarried now and he's probably happy with his new wife. But I think what happened to Patrice is going to be stuck with this man for the rest of his life. But with that being said, I feel like he got her ashes. He had his chance to say goodbye to her. He had his chance to close this chapter and move on with his life, which he did. I don't think he's protecting Patrice, respecting her memory in any way by keeping her in a plastic container in the bottom of a cabinet behind some old papers and boxes. I think it's disrespectful, and I just don't think it's okay. He's had her for so many years now. Can you imagine meeting a new guy or a new woman, getting married, moving in together, and he or she says to you, oh, by the way, my ex-wife or ex-husband is in the cabinet, just so you know. I would be like, what are you talking about? He needs to let her go and set her free. So before we finish for today, there's some issues and some theories and questions online that I checked up on that I just want to help to cross out. One of them was, they say her wedding ring was missing and it's never been found. When I look at pictures of Patrice, she always wear earrings, and I noticed her hands have more rings on than just her wedding ring. So is all her jewelry missing, or is it only her wedding ring? I don't see that mentioned anywhere, and I think that's pretty relevant, don't you? And another thing is, if she was lured out of the shop because she was told there was an emergency with a pistol, then I checked on Google Maps and I looked up his school and I looked up the hospital, like the emergency room. And if you want to go to Pistol's school or the emergency room, when you go out of Patrice's shop, you have to go right. But her car was pointing in the left direction, so I don't think she was going anywhere to see Pistol in the emergency room or in his school, because two different directions. And then there was, we were talking about could be that some person needed a jump start, like faking a jump start. But when I look at the crime pictures, and there's actually original pictures from the crime scene where the police is outside her hair salon and Patrice's car is parked there. And I don't know really if it's relevant or not, but I noticed that the hood was not open. It's completely closed. So I'm thinking, if you needed to give someone a jump start, you would definitely open the hood before you get out of the car. And she didn't, it was closed. So maybe she didn't open it at all because she already knew inside the car that something was wrong. Maybe the jump start is not the case at all, we don't know. I just noticed that the hood was closed. And then there was the question why she would move her car. She's always parked on the side of the shop to walk in the side entrance. Why would she park in front? And I came up with some different answers, and they might be a bit of a long shot, but I still think it's worth mentioning, because if you notice outside the shop, there's like a water hose in this, what's it called? Like a rolling thing. And it looks like the water is connected to her shop, and it doesn't look normal to me. So I'm thinking, could she have had a water problem or a leak or something in the shop? So a repairman would come to check it out, and of course it would be easier for him to enter through the side door, because Just as you walk through the side door, you're in the washing room and in her storage area where she has all her supplies. Maybe a delivery guy. She was expecting a delivery guy. Maybe someone came every 2 weeks or something with like a delivery. And it could also have been a repairman for her washing machine or something like that. It could be the garbage man. There's a huge bin outside the salon. When you go outside the side door, there's a big bin there. And I know there's rules about how far the garbage men are allowed to drag your bin. So maybe she moved it so they could park the car up there and empty the trash. Just guessing and coming up with ideas. So, and then there's the robbery theory. I'm not really buying the robbery theory, because I'm like, if I was a robber and I needed some serious cash, I would not go early in the morning, and especially in a hair salon, because there's not been any customers yet. It's really early in the morning or like lunchtime, so there wouldn't be any money in the cash register. So to me, that's just weird. If I was a robber and I had to rob a shop, I would do it close to the closing hours, or at least in the middle of the day, so I was sure there was some cash in the register. I don't know, what do you think? So that's it for today's case. I want to thank you all so much for watching my video, and I know that I probably talk a lot, but I just have so much I want to tell you. So if you watched it to the end, respect. But thank you so much for watching, and I do hope that you will push that subscribe button, the notification bell, and the like button so you don't miss any of my uploads, because trust me, I have so many cases for you. And if you have some cases you would like me to go through, if your ears are not bleeding yet, then post it in the comment section down below. Until the next one, take care and stay safe. Bye!